What's your $5 stops
Okay.
here
Right.
issues from the first round of the Amy? First
Number
round.
one that I want to talk to you about is MRP and intent versus outcome. So what are we trying to legislate for? The intent of an action or the outcome of an action?
Intent.
So let's look at Kruger.
Yep.
Now, I think it's nearly universal that he took his eyes off the ball at the last minute, how much of it was defending himself or not, and he actually went to bump.
Yep.
If Callan Ward was knocked out and went off the field,
Yep.
not him,
Mm-hmm.
would he get more weeks?
Well, yes. Yeah, depend. The injury and the result of the contact often determines the extent
Yeah,
of
so there's a breakdown of that, and we
Yep.
said and outcome has an enormous impact. on it.
Grundy and Bruce is a better example.
Okay, so what did you see there?
So I think Grundy gets slung by Bruce and he lands on his shoulder, not his head. Therefore, he gets up, albeit very sore.
Yep.
To me, that's given what the umpires have told us in the recent times, then that is a reportable incident. Because it's the action. It's swinging him when he's in a defenceless position and driving him into the ground. That's what they tell us. They want out. There's your case.
So
now, he didn't get knocked out.
if someone breaks a collarbone in that instance, it's a bigger story. So the outcome
Yep.
clearly
Yep.
has an impact. So your intent,
Yeah, he always has. Always has.
and how do you get that balance right?
Well, good luck and welcome to the media. And this is what you argue about all day.
Surely it's the intent that matters.
It is the intent. It's the action. You've got to punish the action.
Yeah. So why do we take the outcome into a consideration?
Well, because I can hit you in the head, a la Braden Maynard.
Maynard and Lloyd.
Yeah, and you might have a tough jaw, for instance,
Mm.
and you sort of shrug it off, and I might get understandably a week, or I might shatter your jaw and I'll get 6 or 4.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
And
throughout the year.
well, I was going to go back to Braden Maynard. Now you're in the hot seat.
Am I? This is my segment.
No, that's right, but I can also turn it around. What say you on Braden Maynard?
Football action. Hit the ball. Spoil.
So you
Incidental contact.
no case to argue.
It doesn't. The outcome would suggest yes. And if the MRP are looking at outcome, there's going to be an issue.
But you don't think it was his sole purpose was to spoil?
It was
Is that what
clumsy, but he wanted his intent was to spoil the ball, and his fist hit the ball.
It hit the head more.
Hit the head more. Right. So
Yeah.
okay.
I think he's in enormous trouble and should be in enormous trouble. That's my opinion, but
Well,
it's your segment.
No, it's not. Well, let's have a look at that. The second one I want to talk about is injuries. And injuries in practice matches. No one likes to see it. Clark and Billings for St Kilda, obviously Kruger, a couple of others, Laird for Adelaide. So why aren't coaches looking after their players? Why are we getting injuries coming into the early part of the season? If you do not play and train at intensity, and that is going to be in a zone that injury is a possibility, you cannot improve as an individual or as a team. So these games and these situations are absolutely necessary. When Hunter Clark put his head over the ball, I don't mind seeing that. Now, you don't like him out for 4 to 6 weeks, but you don't mind seeing a young player play the game at the intensity that it needs to be played, because he's going to find better as he goes along as a result.
Yeah. So what you're saying is there'd be people over the weekend who would have been sitting there going, why haven't we taken him off? Why didn't we rest him? Some blokes.
Well,
rest
Merritt
their
came
stars.
off at halftime
Exactly,
for Essendon,
yep.
and on the other side, St Kilda supporters might be there. Well, why didn't we take Billings off?
Yep.
So he might not have done his hammy in the third quarter.
Yep.
But you're not preparing players for a half.
So no issue. I have no issue with any of that. I think that's just part of the preparation for what's going to be massive and intense session. 0433 11 16. I just want to do the poll. Give us your Maynard, because Bucks. No, I'm going to actually get back to you. So are you saying no weeks for Maynard?
I'm saying because outcome is what decisions are being made on, that he's in strife.
So his duty of care needs to be greater than what he displayed then.
It was a football action.
Okay, well, hang on, but you're having $1 each way.
No, if you're going on his intent, I don't think his intent was to knock the bloke out.
but he did. So therefore,
Yeah, so I think and this is the intent v outcome. I think that we're making the MRP now are making decisions on outcome. So knowing the system, knowing what the focus is, then Braden's in stride.
So if he jumped up, so what you're telling me is if Daniel Lloyd jumped up, then game on, no problem.
Yeah, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see an issue with it. He spoiled the ball.
Okay, so you and I
It's a free kick because it was above the shoulder.
You and I are in violent disagreement on that, and not for probably the first time this year. Which is good.
Third one, I've got positional shifts. And the fact that when coaches see traits in their players and understand the balance of their best teams, because that's what we're looking to do. You're always preparing to produce a team, to manufacture a team, to develop a team that is going to beat the best on the big stage. That's really what you're looking for.
Yep.
So positional shifts. You like Bolter going forward?
I thought he was the biggest one of the weekend from the stuff that I know. I saw probably 70% of the footy played on the weekend.
And you've got a theory about, easy to go forward to back, but to go back to forward is...
I think going forward to back is a soda compared with going back to forward. If you can get a back to forward, as we saw with Bolter, I thought that was the biggest story of the weekend, Noah Bolter.
And he is enormously athletic, gets to highest point.
Crazy good.
He's he was really good as a defender, came on in the last 18 months. But yeah, that'll be a watch. The other one that went from back to forward was Baker, and I think that what they've identified, Richmond, is we've always done this on our hunt, on our pressure, raise the fight, and he's one of the best. He cut his teeth as a small forward, went to wing, went back, and played really good footy. But they clearly need his hunt and pressure in the front half.
Yep.
And there was a 5-minute period there I watched. He laid 3 tackles. I thought, wow, this is going to be good for him. And I reckon they're going to be real good again.
So I asked you the question previously too. I know this is your segment, but all I do is just try and flush it out a bit further.
Yep.
The victory or loss that we need to make the most of. Your answer to me much earlier this morning was you thought Richmond?
Yeah.
Am I not
I love. And as I said, Hawthorn not there at the moment. Then Richmond weren't playing one of the best sides in the comp, but their system, the way they stack up, they're always going to be a really good back six. They get that system right where they can hunt through the midfield and in their front half. They will create plenty of scoring opportunities.
That's good. That's music to the Richmond's fans' ears. Text through to or ring through 1300 736 736. The victory or loss that you took most notice of over the weekend.
And just to finish, just thought for the day.
Yep.
Just wonder how Jaden Stevenson woke up on Friday to see the news that there was a Gold Coast Sun player, had 10 bets totaling $256 and received a 2-week suspension and $5,000 fine, next to Jaden's 3 bets at $36 for a 22-week suspension and a $20,000 fine. I just wonder what Steve-O thought about the consistency of that decision-making.
I love it. I love it. The sting in the tail.
And did miss the last half of the 2019 season. We lost the prelim by 4 points.
Including a final series, which always, I reckon, puts a loading onto any suspension.
Yeah, he would have been handy.
Don't agree, Gary. Surely Maynard was entitled to try to spoil. I'm with Bucks on this one. That's Pete from Narry Warren. Fair enough, Pete. As I said, this is what makes our world go around, and we'll talk about it all day today because that's what we do. Maynard. Positional changes, by the way.
I've got here, Maynard was deliberately clumsy. No, he doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that. He's just clumsy.
So,
and Mitch McGovern was the other one.
Well, I was just going to say, Mitch McGovern on Thursday night looked natural. Now, there will be a develop. Paddy McCartan, what a great story, and people know how close they are to Paddy.
Think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I think he'll play round 1 for the Swans, which just is, I think, one of the great stories given where he's been. So what happens now, though, is that people – and there were times on that Thursday night, and it was a practice match and all that sort of stuff, where we looked at it and you go, gee, they went to work on McGovern because he was backing himself and he was dropping off and all that sort of – so now what will happen is Carlton played Richmond on Thursday, the second game.
17th.
So you reckon the Tigers won't be looking at that and going, do we go through him? Do we play through him, use him up?
I think we're just going to remember it's a bloody tough game. And you've got a lot of people watching – all of what you do. And if there's a weak point, you will get squeezed. And that is why the stars of this game are the ones that just keep improving, keep evolving, and they stay ahead of whatever the tactics of the opposition are going to throw at you, whether it's tagging or taking a strength away, or, as I said, pressing on a weakness. It's not an easy existence because you're getting picked apart. So if you've been in this game 10 years plus and continue to improve and impact as you go along, like you've done bloody well.
Bolter, Lynch, Riewoldt, not too top heavy.
Well, I mean, Riewolt's a big unit,
and Nankervis and Soldo, they want to play too.
He's that's some real height there. Now, whether they can run with all those guys, but Castagna's been a player who's played in the middle. He's given them pressure, but he's also given them a little bit of aerial.
Yep.
He struggles to finish off his work, but he in their system he brings heat that they can't do without.
Yeah.
If they go aerial, and I think aerial is just going to be an even more important part of the game as team defences improve.
When you say aerial, you mean the ability
just
to
aerial contest, Yep. So, I mean, Essendon turned the ball over in the first quarter on the weekend.
Yep.
St Kilda turnovers goals, and that was a difference in the game. They put a 3 or 4 goal gap in it and held that for the large part of the game.
Yep.
After quarter time, Essendon didn't try to kick through as much. They decided they're going to go over. And that's largely what we're going to see in a game. Offensively, are the opposition retreating? So can we kick through them a little bit more? Or are they pressing and taking away that space? And do we need to go over and take the yards and try and speed up off that?
Love it.
So if Bolter, Lynch, Riewoldt, plus a ruckman are down the line for Richmond,
going long,
and they've got ground level players to speed up from or pressure, and that's largely what they built their premierships on.
Yep.
It's going to be pretty damaging.